Good morning, Year Fives, and welcome to your last reading lesson of this week. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all back tomorrow. Today, we're going to be looking at our learning objective, which is to learn new words, and it's exactly the same format that we use every single Monday. So we're going to read the next couple of pages of Wonder, and then we're going to look at some of the words on teams that you're going to complete for me. So let's go and start our day of learning. So we've been looking at Wonder's we've been reading Wonder, and in that book, we've been looking at two perspectives, two different characters' views. Can you tell me whose perspective are we reading about at the moment? So from whose side of the story are we reading at the moment? Have a think. Great, we're reading about the sisters' perspective now, Vide, and we're going to be reading the next couple of pages together. Now, I have said this before, if you cannot see the words or you're really struggling to make it not very clear perhaps on your device, then you're welcome just to listen to me read. Today's couple of pages, I'm just giving you a little bit of a heads up, is a lot of medical jargon, so a lot of words to do with the medical profession. And so don't get too worried about what does each of those words mean. It just means specific to the medical world, okay, things that have got to do with medicine. And I will try and go through them as we go through the text. All right. So let's have a read together. As I say, you're also welcome to pause the video and read it yourself, but you're welcome just to listen to me read it to you. So let's go. Right, so Genetics 101. Both sides of Dad's family were Jews from Russia and Poland. Papa's grandparents fled the pogroms and ended up in New York City at the turn of the century. Tata's parents fled the Nazis and ended up in Argentina in the 40s. Papa and Tata met at a dance on the Lower East Side while she was in town visiting a cousin. They got married, moved to Bayside, and had Dad and Uncle Ben. Mom's side of the family is from Brazil, except for her mother, my beautiful grands, and her dad, Augusto, who died before I was born. The rest of Mom's family, all her glamorous aunts and uncles and cousins, still live in Alto Lemon, a ritzy suburb south of Rio. Grands and Augusto moved to Boston in the early 60s and had Mum and Aunt Kate, who's married to Uncle Porter. Mum and Dad met at Brown University and have been together ever since. Isabel and Nate, like two peas in a pod, they moved to New York right after college, had me a few years later, then moved to a brick townhouse in North River Heights, the hippie stroller capital of Upper Manhattan, when I was about a year old. Not one person in the exotic mix of my family gene pool has ever shown any obvious signs of having what August has. I've pored over grainy sepia pictures of long dead relatives in babushka, black and white snapshots, and distant cousins in crisp white linen suits, soldiers in uniforms, ladies with beehive hairdos, Polaroids of bell-bottom teenagers, and long-haired hippies, and not once have I been able to detect even the slightest trace of August's face in their faces. Not a one. But after August was born, my parents underwent genetic counseling. They were told that August had what seemed to be a previously unknown type of mandibulofacial dysostosis caused by an autosomal recessive mutation in the TCOFI gene, which is located on chromosome 5, complicated by a hemifacial microsomia characteristic of OAV spectrum. Sometimes these mutations occur during pregnancy. Sometimes they're inherited from one parent carrying the dominant gene. Sometimes they're caused by the interaction of many genes, possibly in combination with environmental factors. This is called multifactorial inheritance. In August's case, the doctors were able to identify one of the single nucleotide deleted mutations that made war on his face. The weird thing is, though, that you'd never know it from looking at them. Both my parents carry that mutant gene, and I carry it too. So, as I said, I'm just going to quickly read back about what's just we read there. So, a lot of medical terms, and don't worry too much. Basically, all that has said there is that there is this gene. So it's basically like a little message in your body that has given August this look, that he looks different and he has these facial differences. And via his sister is now having to have a little bit of a history about their family and how these genes could possibly affect her children one day, because it's talking about the fact that both her parents had these genes and she carries it too. So if she has children one day, she might be able to pass this gene down. So this gene, this sort of message in August's body, has resulted in him looking the way he does. Right, let's carry on reading. If I have children, there's a 1 in 2 chance that I will pass on the defective gene to them. That doesn't mean they'll look like August, but they'll carry the gene that got double dosed in August and helped make him the way he is. If I marry someone who has the same defective gene, there's a 1 in 2 chance that our kids will carry the gene and look totally normal, a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will not carry the gene at all, and in 1 in 4 chance that our kids will look like August. If August has children with someone who doesn't have a trace of the gene, there's a 100% probability that their kids will inherit the gene, but a 0% chance that their kids will have a double dose of it, like August, which means they'll carry the gene no matter what, but they could look totally normal. If he marries someone who has the gene, their kids will have the same odds as my kids. This only explains the part of August that's explainable. There's that other part of his genetic makeup that's not inherited, but just incredibly bad luck. Countless doctors have drawn little tic-tac-toe grids for my parents over the years, trying to explain the genetic lottery to them. Geneticists use these Punnett squares to determine inheritance, recessive and dominant genes, probabilities, and chance, but for all they know, there's more they don't know. They can try to forecast the odds, but they can't guarantee them. They use terms like germline, mosaicism, chromosome rearrangement, or delayed mutation to explain why their science is not an exact science. I actually like how doctors talk. I like the sound of science. I like how words you don't understand explain things you can't understand. There are countless people under words like germline mosaicism, chromosome rearrangement, or delayed mutation. Countless babies. You'll never be born like mine. Okay, so there you go. Lots of words there that I'm sure you probably have never heard. In fact, I have not heard some of them either, like that strange word, germline. I'll have to look up how to pronounce that word. Maybe you can have a go at it and we can go through it tomorrow in class and reading. So basically, it's just to do with genetics. It's like the little sort of building blocks of your body and how they are created to give you what you look like and how you are resembled to other people. So this is just sort of explaining it to the reader. So as I say, don't worry too much about the language that they're using today in terms of all the medical terms. It's just basically explaining why August looks the way he does. Right, so you're going to log onto Teams now, and I have given you some words from the text. I haven't given you any words that are to do with the language of the medical terms. So it's other words. So have a look at those words and see if you can answer the questions. And I hope you have a really great day of learning. Take care, guys. Bye.